Revelation of the 8 Laws, Part 2. The second law of anxiety. You must allow all others to conceal their anxieties. Now this is actually the first law, as I've put out, but it's in the other. And so, but what does it mean? What does it do? What's it worth? What's it doing? What's going on? How does that influence the way we go forward? How does allowing other people to conceal their anxieties affect how we communicate? Because that would then, if we were going to allow all others to conceal their anxieties while we're not them, that would mean we're imagining what they're worried about. And that's got nothing to do with them at all. And so this influences how we communicate a lot. And so this is a profound point to make, you know, how that influences communication when, because of the first law, where we are compelled to conceal our anxieties, you know, that we want to conceal our anxieties, that completely changes the nature of what is important. Can you understand that? It totally changes the texture of culture, actually. And so in the second instance of allowing other people to conceal their anxieties, okay, then that then not only means you've got to allow them to conceal their anxieties, but then you've got to also imagine what those anxieties are, so as you don't say anything about it. And so you've got this imagined reality where you are concealing your anxieties, right? And you're imagining other people's anxieties so that you shouldn't talk about their anxieties, right? And then we start talking. Okay, so all that's going on, you know, at the quantum level of thought, and this precedes everything, thought. But now, though, that's actually what is going on, right? But now we've got such a, you know, developed situation going on in the world, right? That we've got these social mores, they're called, a social more, which is M-O-R-E-S, mores, social mores, which is these little unwritten rules about how we work together, right? And so, and this is where we are with our civilization and what's politically credible and what's important and all the stuff like that, right? And I mean, everyone knows where the world is. What you can get away with if you are attempting to deceive people. This totally formats everything. The second law, you know what? The second law influences vastly everything we do, man. If everybody, I mean, we don't even realise we're doing it because it's so far beyond the initial point, the origin, that we just have no idea that this is happening actually. And in fact, because we're born with that culture shock experience of birth, and so we have our own thing going on with it right from the start, right? And then we see all this evidence of how it's really important, how it works, how everything works together, you know. And so nobody has ever realised that this is happening. Nobody has ever considered this, right? And so it's rather dramatic, actually, the influence that this has over communication. And this is how it influences communication. It influences everything. And we know for a fact that this is the case because, after all these billions of man hours, literally billions, even possibly trillions of man hours, when you take into account all the parents that can't understand their kids' behaviour, or all the kids that can't understand their parents' behaviour, there's been trillions of man hours spent trying to figure out the function of the mind, right? All the songs that have been written about the big, how life is crap, and, someone did you wrong, kind of thing. And so this is the thing of it. This has had a profound influence over our nature and culture. And so, yeah, this is all I can say about it. And so this, of course, again, works in accordance with all the laws altogether. But this is the fundamental building block of this political reality that we have been living in, and so, I mean, that's all I can say about it. This is all there is. There is the fact that this is what the individual situation is like, and then, and that's the society and civilization we've made collectively because of this, right? Because it shows up in different ways. You've got the individual experience, but then when the group, get a small group of people that are all, a great example of the inside of the elephant, and then that gets replicated heaps of times, and then we get society, right, and the community, and the population of a whole country, right, and then the population of the whole world, right. How it actually has extrapolated out, because it all started from the small community back in the day, where there's lots of people around now, and that phrase, you can't see the forest for the trees, this takes on new dimensions when you consider how anxiety has worked its way, and it exists in certain ways. And so you might see, through looking at it like that, you might see how some of these groups that have existed throughout history, that how they've been relevant and how they've maintained their relevance. Okay, and so, yeah, because really, allowing other people, and this is a set in stone law of the mind, right? Allowing other people to conceal their anxieties, right? This enables people to live in separate groups, right? Because that's really just, the human being replicates consciousness, right? Or replicates anxiety. Now, seeing how anxiety is politically credible, and it's the only thing that's politically credible, because consciousness doesn't exist, and that's why anxiety does not acknowledge consciousness, right? And so this is why political credibility really is dictated by a replication of the function of anxiety, right? Now, this is something I'm attempting to change, okay? And so that's why these little groups can form. The whole legal profession, this is entirely why the legal profession exists. Okay, it's entirely why it exists. Because if it wasn't like this, we would have a community, right? And the community, this invariably small community, because all these places all have small little areas, right? We could judge the person, and he might have had, or she, they might have had a very hard life starting out, and then they do something stupid, right? They rob a shop or something, and because I just heard the news there, the US cop got shot because someone was stealing a 90-cent packet of scarves, and he was running away, and he shot the cop so as he was running away from him, shot him, and then he killed himself. Okay, so what's the political understanding that was in play in that offender's mind while he was doing that, right? So so this is why I'm saying this business of the 8 laws is very real. You must allow others to conceal their anxieties, and so that offender there, they had a lifestyle that they had lived outside of a relationship of any kind. Actually, this is what it means. And so where anxiety is really strong, that's where you don't have a very good relationship or no relationship. Like myself, I grew up and I had no evidence of relationships around me as a child, right? There was none. And it was because no one was talking. Both my parents were married, they were married, And but the real thing of it is there's no expression of consciousness going on, no relationship. And if there's no communication, you can't bond when there's no communication, right? And so that's also the significance of the second law, because if you're allowing other people to conceal their anxieties, you're actually not bonding with them because you're not communicating. Okay, so that's the significance of the anxiety getting into having control of communication, because communication dictates everything. It is everything, man. And that's the fact of it, man. It's like, so that we allow that, man, it's game over for relationships, man. Now you'll be saying, oh, but I love my family and we're always talking, and it's like, well, as you can guess, probably, that the 8 laws isn't about the people that embrace consciousness. They take their kids to see events. They do. The parent does a lot of stuff the kid is quite okay to go along to, right? You've got motorsport, you've got sport in general, you've got musical stuff, movies, even going down to the mall as a family. Real cool for a kid, man. That's the coolest thing. Dad building a car or a motorcycle or something, or anything, painting a picture, building a blooming deck out the back there, that the parent and kid can do things together. The political optics is that consciousness is real. And so, in keeping with this crazy situation we're in, right? If a person believes that anxiety is real, consciousness doesn't exist. But if a person believes that consciousness is real, then anxiety has, that's the thing. Anxiety will believe consciousness doesn't exist, but in consciousness's case, consciousness has no value of anxiety. Has zero value of anxiety, because it's a straight to an answer machine, right? And so this is what happens, and so there's a lot of votes of confidence around that consciousness is real important, and we don't even realise that we do it, because again each camp is like, it's kind of like Hall of Mirrors type thing. The anxiety thing's like a Hall of Mirrors, but the consciousness thing, it's like you're just in this such a wide open expanse. You don't even. It's just never been an issue to look up to see any. There's never been any borders, and we know there's never been any borders. So we've never bothered to having a look, because we know there's no borders, right? And so this is the two camps there. Yeah. See, the anxiety is an inverted experience of consciousness, and so, and it follows that trend, you know, in a political sense as well, where the values of consciousness get inverted, so there's a lot of oppositeness to anxiety compared with consciousness. And so yeah, so again, yeah, that's the second law. And you know what, wherever communication exists, the 8 laws exist, right? The 8 laws exist. Because you can get, you know, you've been there probably. You get a situation where you've got a group of people and they're all talking about something, like they need an answer, and this could be like a school board meeting or, you know, any kind of group thing, right? And it only takes one person to wave the flag of anxiety to completely drag everyone's attention over to it, you know, and it's likely because this represents some grave illness. So consciousness immediately, of course, goes to see what the problem is, right? And this is you know, this is that process where consciousness does that. This shows up everywhere because consciousness is real, you know, it's very committed to positivity, right? Very committed to positivity. And so a lot of decisions get made anyway, because a lot of the time everyone in the group believes that anxiety is wisdom, and that's the basis of their relationship. Like when it comes to the news or military matters, or, you know, social policy, or, you know, they're all going in it. They can't articulate how they feel about it because of the second law. So there's multiple levels that they can't articulate, right? And so then they start to talk about this thing while they're all allowing everyone else to conceal their anxieties. Or it gets flipped over and anxiety takes over, and that's the only actually thing they talk about is their anxieties about it. And, you know, as we know, anxiety has zero problem solving ability. It has zero interest in problem solving, and I think that's the chicken for the egg. It has zero ability of solving problems, and that's why it's got no interest in going, you know, it always keeps the conversation way away from that, And so that's party to, you know, that's a consequence of allowing other people to conceal their anxieties. And so, it's, yeah. So anyway, there you go. That's something about that. Yeah, the next video that's going to actually involve it'll be the third law, but it's got to have the other first two. That's the consequence of the second law of anxiety.